Beat the METS. Step right up and greet the METS. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the METS are really sucking the ball. Knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS METS of New York Town.
It's the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut, and here we are again, live from New York City. Believe it or not, can't tell from the accent. I'm not from down south. I am from New York, and your host is here very late, sort of biding my time. We have till 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Friday when we have the trade deadline. So it's 10 o'clock now. We got less than 18 hours until the trading deadline. Let me say hello to the chat before I forget, before I get any further. Now, please like this video if you haven't already, and most importantly, subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Let's see who's in the chat right now. Hello, Steve Perez, Ariel Lopez, Nicholas, Garden State Gardner, Southern Cal Mets fan. I am on late tonight. And you're in luck, William. I'm on later. Usually I'm on early. And I thought about doing a live stream earlier today, but I was like, do I really want to do that? I don't know if I want to do that. And it's been very quiet. Now, a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, the big trade, the monster trade that is taking place is the Scherzer Turner deal to the Dodgers, which is sort of has come out of nowhere over the last few days. And obviously, it looked like he was going to get traded to the Padres, but he is on his way, as well as Trey Turner, to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And we'll get into that as we go along. But again, please subscribe. You know, I sort of been going through a couple of live streams, and I noticed that some of the Mets fans are getting a little spastic. Calm the hell down, all right? Remember, 6 years ago, the Mets got Cespedes right as the 4 o'clock deadline came. And the Mets made that deal on that Friday. So everybody needs to calm down. Everything's going to be okay. Just relax. And we'll see what the Mets front office has in mind. There have been a lot of rumors that the Mets have been talking to the Cubs very heavily over the last few hours. Obviously, the Cubs made a big trade today with the Yankees. But a couple of things, though, of course, is because of this Scherzer deal. A lot of teams got involved, obviously, in this whole thing with him. Because as you know, this guy is a Hall of Fame player, um, and he's somebody that is going to command the room. So now that this trade is pretty much going to be done, then there are going to be other dominoes to fall, and we will get into those dominoes as we go along. But going back to the Mets, they've been talking to the Cubs. Now that Rizzo is gone to the Yankees, that means everybody. I'm very surprised they traded him. To be honest with you, I think I've been very consistent. I've been very consistent about where I thought that some of these players were going to go. I kind of figured that the couple of teams would be interested in him. One of them being the Yankees, but I thought once they got Joey Gallo yesterday, they were not going to make any more deals for another left-handed bat. So I was very surprised when this trade came down a few hours ago with him, or 6 hours ago, or whatever it is. So I was very surprised that he'd gone to the Yankees. So that means that pretty much everybody but probably Kyle Hendricks is up for grabs there in Chicago. I think it's pretty obvious now at this point that everyone in Chicago is going to get traded. I think Baez is probably going to get moved. Bryant is going to get moved. Bryant didn't play today, by the way. I also want to point out something. Jeff McNeil didn't play today. Just keep that in mind. That also, of course, we talked about Craig Kimbrell. Zach Davies, who was mentioned the last few hours with the Mets as part of some package, along with Chris Bryant. Hello, Matthew Landau. Hello, Steve C. Please like the video. So those are some of the names that have sort of been percolating. And, of course, I was first on it, even before anybody else was, Trevor Story. This trade with the Yankees, this Rizzo trade, is like a domino effect because now it would, in all likelihood, puts the Yankees in a spot where they don't need to get a shortstop now. They'll just leave Gleyber Torres there probably to the rest of the season, and they won't be making this Trevor Story trade. Now this puts the Mets in an interesting position. I talked about this over the last few weeks that the Mets are going to probably bring in Story. Now at the time when I did the first video on him, Francisco Lindor had not gotten hurt yet. That was before the All-Star break. I did that first video, but now, as you know, who knows when Lindor's coming back? Probably not until September. So the Mets are going to need, and I've said this, the Mets are going to need everyday shortstop to just fill in over the next month, and he's about as good as anyone. And we're going to get into. Let's get into some of these players and where some of them have gone. I just don't have the time to sort of do this on the computer. But I had the time to write it out and just, if I hear any rumor, I jot down with teams involved. The biggest surprise, I think, was, was Brad Hand. I'm glad that he's out of here. I was not entirely sold on him. Well, Dan wants to know, why didn't Jeff McNeil play today? They said because they're sort of nursing his hamstring still. And that was a little shaky. The Cubs sat, Bryant and Rizzo today, both of them. So Bryant is still out there. And obviously Rizzo got traded. So here we go. Let's start at the very top. Now that trade, we'll get to Trey Turner at the end here. Okay. Now we'll start at the very top. We have Trevor Story. Hello, Pat Cole. So we got Trevor Story here. Early on, I'd heard that the Athletics were interested in him. I don't think that's going to happen. The A's are very peculiar about who they bring in. So they brought in Starling Marte. They gave up a big prospect for him. But what happened was the Marlins actually gave the Oakland A's, they paid the contract for Starling Marte so they can get a better prospect. Unbelievable. And Andrew Chafin went to the A's as well. But Trevor Story, because the Yankees picked up Rizzo, they're not going to move Gleyber Torres to the second. They're going to have DJ LeMahieu at second. So that's not going to happen. If they hadn't made this deal with Rizzo, you would have probably had seen a Trevor Story at shortstop and Torres at uh, at second, and of course they would have put LeMahieu at first. And they probably, and considering they brought in two left-handed hitters, the odds of them having brought in a Story was actually very low, as it turned out. Hello, Stony 814. So the teams that were sort of that have been talked about with Trevor Story were the A's, like I said, the Milwaukee Brewers, which is interesting. The Mets, obviously, I was the first to talk about it, and the San Francisco Giants. Now, the Brewers made a trade today. They picked up Eduardo Escobar. He can play third, and he can play second. He's got a lot of versatility. So I would assume that this takes them out of the running for Trevor Story. So it leaves the Mets and the Giants as teams that were talked about. Hello, Lavance, an El Foul player. How you doing? Please like the video. Let's see. And I got a couple of news things. We'll talk about the game today. The game, Trevor, Taijuan Walker. Before I get into do this. Taijuan Walker was excellent in April and May. He has not pitched well. He's taken a major dip, and he's been terrible since the All-Star break. A couple things about him. He's probably pitching to his level. So now he's coming back to where his level has been in his career. It's been difficult to sort of figure out what his level is because he's had to deal with these injuries. So that's why it's important that the Mets manage his innings a little bit. He's coming off some injuries. He's not pitched this much in a long time. And the thing is that with Walker, he's starting to pitch to probably his level. Remember, every year you pitch and play to your level, so the numbers always sort of goes to where it needs to be. And he was pitching so great that that level was going to drop, and it's dropped dramatically. He's given up a lot. He's given up 5 home runs in the last 2 starts. He's not pitched well. So we'll just leave that at that. And obviously, they've just not hit enough. I mean, I know a lot of people were getting very excited about how well they hit coming back out of the All-Star break. But I would mention that they went up against the Pirates that don't have a good pitching staff. They went up against the Reds that has a terrible bullpen. And the Reds have made a couple of trades here. They made that trade with the Yankees to pick up Justin Wilson and the other pitcher, Luis Cessa. And then they made a trade earlier today, for Michael Givens. So the Reds are kind of sort of saying, we know where our weaknesses are. And they were able to sort of address some of that. But those two teams, those two pitching staffs weren't very good. And the Blue Jays, I would say they need a little help with the pitching as well. So the Mets went up against the Braves, and the Braves pitched well. They've had a lot of injuries to their regular starting lineup. They've lost 3 key players to that lineup. And they have not played well to begin with most of the season. And for the most part, but they've pitched well against the Mets, and the Mets haven't hit them. The Mets have not hit real good pitching. So that's why they need to bring in another everyday player. Now, Trevor Story, just to sort of go back to him a little bit, I've been kind of reading some different things that he has had an elbow issue. He was on the injured list for a couple of weeks because of his right elbow. I don't know why, if that's why he has struggled offensively, but that's been an issue. And that might be why he's hitting around 240, which is very low for a guy that's playing in Colorado. So we'll have to see. We'll see where he gets moved. He's going to be the most intriguing. And then he might not get moved at all. It might be a situation they might not move him. That might be a situation he doesn't get moved. And then, of course, we got the other big player. The other big player is Chris Bryant. Hello, Daniel Kim the Grim. Stony 814 has a question. I got a question. I got a good question for you. You think the Mets do a trade by the trade deadline tomorrow? Yes, I think they'll do more than 1, if not 2 or 3. I think they'll do about 3 trades. If not, they'll bundle it. I can see them doing that. bundling a whole bunch of players together, specifically with the Cubs. And speaking of which, we have Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant did not play today. I saw a clip of him on YouTube sitting on the bench at the after the game was over, looking, looking all sort of sad. Like he knows his time is up. And the Cubs are basically rebuilding. Um, but the teams that have been mentioned with Chris Bryant, I'll give you the names of the teams. Obviously, the New York Mets, and I think he's probably going to come to the Mets. And we've been talking about him for months. I think we're going to see probably the end of probably JD Davis. I think JD Davis is probably going to get moved. His name has come up with trade talks with the Cubs, and actually with the Rockies. I've read that a couple places tonight. Then we had the Blue Jays. They've been mentioned. I've heard the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays. I've heard the Phillies. And I've heard the Giants specifically too. So I think the Giants are the other team that might be going after them. They don't have Evan Longoria playing. I think he's going to be out for most of the season, if not the whole season now. So he's a guy that that's a team to keep an eye on with Chris Bryant. Hello, Nicholas. I said Nicholas already, didn't I did. Hello, Drake Doran. Fans since '83. They do right this time. We need 3 pieces to complete this team. I agree with you on the last part. I need a bat, another starter, and a reliever. Hello, Explosive D. Yes, what the Yankees did was very surprising. Last night kind of set the stage for what they were doing today. So, we have really, I think the biggest competition for the Mets with Bryant is probably the Giants. I could be wrong. Hello, Mike Rowley. That's about the Yankees. The Yankees are what, in third place, like 8 or 9 games out of it. Why are they making trades? Mind-boggling. They're 2 games behind the wild card. So they're kind of still in it. When it comes to division, they got a lot of work ahead of them. The Rays are going to do something tomorrow. I can guarantee you that. They're going to get a starter down there. I know the Mets were talking to the Rays a lot. I heard the Mets were talking to the Rays today. The Brewers, the Mets tried to get 2 of their pitchers last day or 2 with the Brewers, and the Brewers basically told them to pound sand. Told them to get the hell out of here. So they were asking for a lot. And the Mets didn't. The Rays didn't. The Brewers didn't want to give up their depth. Now we have another player that's from the Cubs, and that's Javier Baez. Now he said on a Spanish radio show that he would love to play with Francisco Lindor, and if he played with Francisco, he would play second. He's a possibility too, and I would not be surprised. I was thinking about this today. It's like, I could see Baez and Bryant coming in the same deal. I don't know why. I was thinking about that today. That's why I mentioned Jeff McNeil not playing today, and that maybe there's talk of maybe doing something with him. He's got a few years left on his contract, and I'm convinced that Jeff McNeil is going to win a batting title at some point. But we'll see. But and the other team I said were the Rays with Baez. Now, one of the biggest players, obviously, and we'll get to him now, is Max Scherzer. He didn't want to come to New York, so he basically told the Mets and the Yankees, "I'm not interested in coming to New York. Fine, F you. Go out where the buffalo don't roam, where the buses don't go, out in California." But there were a lot of teams on him. At least 14 teams that were on him in terms of wanting to make a trade for him. They were the Red Sox, the Angels, although the Angels don't have any farm. They don't have a farm system. They never do. The Astros, the Padres, and he almost went to the Padres earlier tonight. The Mariners, the Giants, the Boston Red Sox, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Blue Jays. Well, as you know, he's basically been traded, and he got traded to the Dodgers tonight with Trey Turner. Trey Turner was a name that popped up all of a sudden, because the Nationals look like they're basically rebuilding their team and centering around Juan Soto. I'll say this about the Nationals. They don't care if they let their players go. They don't care if they trade their players away. They don't care. I mean, they really don't care, you know, because they're one of those teams that has a really good farm system, and as it turned out, they got some really good players for in this trade. Um, so the Dodgers traded their two best prospects. Now, anyone that knows minor league baseball and the Dodgers, they always have good prospects. They always have good prospects. These guys, for as long as I can remember, they always have good players. And even if Trey Turner plays, that they have Corey Seager. He's going to be a free agent after the year. They're basically telling him goodbye. What they heard tonight was that, what I heard tonight was that they were going to put uh, Turner at second base for the rest of the year. Corey Seager's coming back tomorrow. So Corey Seager's going to be the shortstop for the rest of the season. And they'll probably let him walk. They'll probably let him walk after the season. And they'll put Turner at short. I can guarantee you 2 years from now, they will have a shortstop ready to go in their minor league system. That's how good the Dodgers minor league system is. It is that good. And anyone that follows minor league baseball knows they always have a big time top 10 farm system. And they've had it for 30, 40, 50 years. They always produce good players. You know. Hello, Stephon J. So they always have good players, and they gave up their two best prospects for Turner, who's got another year in his contract, and a future Hall of Famer. And I would also point out that Trevor Bauer, he's going to be out of here. Skadoosh. Because from reading the articles that I've read over the last few days, the Dodgers as a team do not want to play with him again. So that is over with. So I don't think he's going to be going back. He's not going to be playing again with the Dodgers. So that's pretty much over with. I'd be very surprised if he came back. The things that they've said about Bauer has been terrible. That I don't want to talk about here. It's pretty rough. He's accused of sexually assaulting a woman, beating her up, and basically raping her. And the team, the players don't want to play with him anymore. So that's very telling, because you don't normally see that kind of stuff. When a player doesn't get along in the clubhouse, you can tell right away there's a problem, that they stand out. So, but that's a big reason why they made this Scherzer deal, is to forget about Bauer. And aren't we all lucky as Mets fans that the Mets did not sign Trevor Bauer? Because you would have been hearing all this stuff. The Mets have a terrible organization for women. They brought in this guy that supposedly raped a woman. It was terrible. Explosive. I saw a report earlier from Disha saying Cohen is pushing the front office to make a move. I don't think so. I mean, they're going to do what they need to do. He's been pretty quiet tonight. He hasn't tweeted anything out tonight, by the way. He's been very quiet tonight. So I don't think if he's going to do something, he would have said something. But so the two teams that are interested in Rizzo, from what I heard, was the Yankees and Boston. He's gone to the Yankees. The Boston Red Sox, they need another left-handed bat in their lineup. Who did I hear earlier? I heard Jonathan Schoop. That is not, that's not inspiring. But they would want to have a guy that's going to produce. He's been producing there in Detroit. Detroit shouldn't make any moves. They shouldn't move anybody. They want to be able to finish with a 500 record. They shouldn't move anybody. Now, I mentioned Andrelton Simmons, that the Yankees would bring him in, but I don't think he's going to get moved now. And if he does get moved, I'd be shocked. I don't think he's getting traded. Let me see. Stoney asked me, what about Davis and Kimbrel? We'll get to Kimbrel in a minute, and Davies. Kyle Gibson of the Rangers. I've heard two teams on him, the Rays, which I think you can all see him going to, and the Milwaukee Brewers. And I think he's a free agent after the season. So he's a free agent. A name that's popped up last week, and that's Whit Merrifield. I don't think he's getting moved, but I've heard the Mariners and the Mets. We'll get to Berrios in a minute. I got a whole bunch of teams on him, a lot of teams on him. Because with the Scherzer thing now having cleared up, all the teams are going to be on him. Obviously, Tyler Anderson got traded. He was going to get traded to the Phillies. He went to the Mariners. The Phillies have done nothing so far. So for everybody that's a little uptight about the Mets not having done anything, the Phillies haven't done anything. The Braves haven't done anything other than Jock Peterson, and the Nationals are getting rid of all their players. Although I would point out about one team you got to be careful with, especially going down the stretch, is the Marlins. Be very careful with the Marlins. The Marlins tend to beat up on the Mets whenever they're in the postseason or on a pennant run. The Mets always play them a lot, and they're going to be playing them a lot in September. Hello, Marco Galina. Haven't seen you in a while. He says they're going to be acquiring a big bat of Yoenis Cespedes is coming back. Oh, okay. That's good to hear. That's good to see. They said that they talked to him to see if he could come back when they were having all those injuries. Glad they didn't do that. All right. And here's some pitchers that we've heard about with the Mets, and particularly with the Mets tonight is John Gray, that there would be some kind of package deal of John Gray. And I did a video on Trevor Story and John Gray, which nobody watched. And the Mets have been connected to John Gray, which makes a lot of sense. They wouldn't have to give a lot to get him. And the other teams that have been involved in this, the Giants, the Padres, the Phillies, and the Dodgers. Well, I would assume that with the Dodgers getting Scherzer, they wouldn't be interested in John Gray. I know you did, Marco. I know you did. I know you popped that. I know you did. I just like saying it just to see. And of course, we heard this name earlier tonight with the Cubs, and that's Zach Davies. I heard it was like a combination trade tonight. Was bouncing around with Zach Davies and Chris Bryant, or some kind of combination of them, or one of them, and a package deal with the Mets. I've not heard anything in the last few hours. It's been very quiet, actually. It was a little. I thought there was going to be something earlier, but unfortunately, obviously, nothing has happened yet. But we got to keep an eye on this stuff. This is stuff that it sort of comes and goes all the time, and you got to sort of be patient. You'll have to be patient with what's going on here, because if we're not, you're not going to be able to enjoy anything. This is fun. This is a lot of fun going through the names and talking about it. So, but like I said, what time is it now? A little after 10:30. That's 17 and a half hours to go. All right. And Eduardo Escobar got traded. He's with Milwaukee. Asdrubal Cabrera, the Mets have been connected to him. Joaquin Soria, the Mets have been connected to him, because the Mets were scouting the Cubs and the Diamondbacks last week. And obviously the Mets, and they were scouting the Twins. That was another team the Mets had scouted too. A couple of things. I know that the Twins had scouted the Mets St. Lucie team a couple of weeks ago. We'll get into Barrios in a minute, or in a couple minutes. But the Mets had done a lot of scouting of the Cubs and a lot of scouting of the Diamondbacks. Adam Frazier got traded to San Diego. San Diego's not done. They're going to respond to this trade of Scherzer and Turner. They're probably going to be a big player with for Barrios. I can guarantee you that. That's a no doubt about it. Charlie says Cespedes is riding on his horse right now. He might. Don't tempt him. Don't tempt him. A little big pomp number one. We'll go through some other names. Nelson Cruz, the real Nelson Cruz, not the YouTube subscriber Nelson Cruz. He went to the Rays. Josh Harrison of the Nationals, he's going to get moved. There are names on here that I think from the Nationals are going to get moved. Every National is going to get moved if they can, other than Soto. Soto's not getting moved, but all these other players are going to get moved. John Lester, maybe. Daniel Hudson. 3 teams have been connected to him. Now, Brad Hand got traded today to the Blue Jays. But Daniel Hudson's been connected to the Jays, the Dodgers, and the Phillies. Now, here's another big name, and that's Craig Kimbrell. I've heard about 6 teams with him. The Mets, obviously. Boston, the Phillies, San Diego, Chicago, the Dodgers, and the Mariners. Now the Mariners on the side, they traded their closer, Kendall Graven, which was crazy why they did that. But they made a deal today. They picked up the closer uh for the for the Rays. The Rays, they're crazy. And they traded him to Seattle. It's crazy what the Rays do. They trade their best player and they don't care. You know, they get the most out of their players and then they dump them. You know. Now Eric Hosmer's name's come up, but he's got 4 years left on his contract. I was hearing last night. I was hearing last night that the Rangers were going to trade him straight up for Joey Gallo. Well, obviously that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So that's out the window. So I've heard the Red Sox with Hosmer, but that's a lot of money on his contract, and he's got a 10 team no trade clause. A name that came up with the Yankees today, and that's not going to happen now, is Kyle Schwarber. He's going to be moved by the Nationals. Now he's on the IL, but you can move now injured players, and he's got a hamstring pull. But I could see him getting moved. I could see him going to the Red Sox. I don't know if he could play first, but I could see him going to the Red Sox. Or maybe I don't know, the Padres. I don't know. But it really, also saw the Jays with him too. See him going to the Jays. All right. We have Michael Givens. He was traded, but he went to the Reds. There was talk about him going to the Mets. This was yesterday. That kind of went out the window. All right. And then we have, hello, Edman40. Yes. Is likely the Mets end up with Story, Gray, Bryant, and Baez. But that's asking for a lot. People have called me crazy. But if the Mets trade Conforto, McNeil, and J.D. Davis, then Baez, Story for second, third, and Bryant for last, that's moving too many players. That's moving too many pieces. No, there is no. Yeah, that's too many pieces. There's too many big pieces getting moved around. You don't do that. That completely turns your team upside down. You know. Oh, sorry about that. I had a little bit of a glitch. Had a little bit of a glitch. We had that all of a sudden. Uh, I am not muted. Why keep? If I am not talking, folks, I'm not muted. I will tell you if I have to use the bathroom. I'll say I can use the bathroom. I'll be right back. If you don't hear the sound, that means that I got bumped out of the cable connection here. I did not get muted. I'm never muted. I keep talking and the connection gets all screwed up. I'm not being watched by the FBI. But what the hell was I? I was Barris. So we got several teams on him. I want to understand the price tag for some of these players was outrageous. The Mets have been complaining about that tonight. I think Barris is one of them. Oh, let me get back to the Mets farm system. The Mets farm system has a lot of high end top prospects like Berrios, Batty, Kuma Rocker. We're going to see what happened with him. An issue with his arm. Um, and let's have big prospects at the upper levels, but their depth is gone because of Brody Van Wagenen making trades of Justin Dunn, Anthony Kay, uh, Jared Kelenic, and I would point out about Kelenic, he should not be in the major leagues. He's not hitting. Keep him in the minor leagues. He needs a full season. He has not really gotten a full season, and he needs to play in the minor leagues. Uh, so, but the Yankees are the opposite. They have a lot of depth, but they don't have high end prospects like the Mets do. You know, so it's an issue that the Mets, have to deal with. The prospects they have, they're good, but they can't move them. So when you have to deal with, deal from that depth, you don't have it. That's why they brought in guys like Jordan Yamamoto, and Joey Lucchesi, guys that can sort of bounce back and forth between the minors and here. Unfortunately, a lot of them got hurt, but their depth was pushed to the edge. But some of the teams that are involved with various talks is a lot. I mean, you're going to see a lot of teams. He's got another year on his contract, but you have San Diego. That's a big team. That team might be pushing to get him hard. The Yankees are, like somebody said in the chat, the Mets, the Giants, the Rays. See him going to the Rays. They always have a big farm system. The Mariners, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox. It's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of teams. Mets have some stiff competition. Now, I would assume the Dodgers are out of it. And the Giants and the Padres are going to respond to this trade tonight. You know that. Now, we have Josh Donaldson. I'm going to assume that the Brewers are out of talks for him because there was talk that the Brewers were interested in Donaldson, and now the Mets are sort of sitting there. But I don't think the Mets want to take on those years with the contract. So that I don't think is going to be. I don't think that's something that we're going to be, keeping an eye on too much. All right. Let me just have a drink. Hold on a second. I need a drink. Look. Now, please like the video in between. All right. It's not always easy doing a show by yourself. Let me just check to see if any rumors, any trades right now. But Donaldson, I don't think is going to get traded. Kenta Mahita, interesting pitcher. I haven't heard anything with him. Michael Pineda, I've heard that the price tag for him is high. I'm half and half on him. I could take him or leave him. But I've heard the Blue Jays, the Mariners, and the Phillies. I could see him going to the Phillies. He seems like a Philly kind of player. Hat on the side, disheveled. I can see that. Chris Stratton of the Pirates. He's a reliever. I've heard San Diego. Trey Mancini. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going to get moved. Paul Fry's a reliever with the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know where he's going to go, but I know there's a lot of interest. Obviously, Joey Gallo got moved to the Yankees. Now, Ian Kennedy is another guy from the Rangers. I think he'll be moved. I've heard the Mets, the Astros, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. Richard Rodriguez of the Pirates. The Padres, the A's. I can see him going to the A's. The Phillies, I can see him going to the Phillies. Seattle, I can see him going to Seattle. But then after that trade with the Marlins, probably not. And the Jays. Somebody's asking about Jose Ramirez. Well, funny you should ask, because that's the next name on the list. I've heard little rumblings, but no team's been attached to him. I did a video on him in the wintertime. That was a fun video. But I haven't seen any team attached to him. Raciel Iglesias of the Angels. I don't see the Angels trading anybody. If anything, I see them bringing in players. I don't know what the hell the Angels are doing. They're a mess. Max Kepler. I heard the Yankees earlier yesterday until they made the trade for Gallo. So I don't know where he's going. Trey Turner got traded to the Dodgers. Let me use my different pen. He's gone to the Dodgers. Andrew Chafin went from the Cubs to the A's. Starlin Marte went from the Marlins to the A's. I've heard Merrill Kelly for the Mets, but I heard the price tag's very high. I'm not too sold on him. He's 32 years old, but he's not a free agent until 2025. I'm not too sold on him. We have Jonathan Schoop of the Tigers. Maybe he gets moved. Maybe he doesn't. I've heard three teams: the Mariners, the White Sox, and the Boston Red Sox. I don't see him going to Chicago now because Chicago made a couple of trades. Made the trade for Cesar Hernandez from the Indians, so that I don't think that's going to happen. I've heard C.J. Cron's name mentioned. I don't know where he's going. Daniel Bard, the reliever, he's probably going to get traded. Ryan Tepperer got traded from the Cubs to the White Sox. I've heard Carlos Santana, but I haven't seen anything there. Before we get into a couple of things about the Mets before I forget. That was a great throw by Conforto last night. They said during the game that the Mets have 42 defensive runs saved. So if you want to know why the Mets are still in first place, that's why. The defense is so much better than it's been in the past. And those 42 defensive runs is third in the National League and fourth in the major leagues. So that's big. They got 9 outfield assists and 4 by Conforto. And he's missed a good portion of the season. And over the last 45 games, I mentioned this. They've gone 22 and 23 and haven't lost the lead on their. They haven't lost the game on their lead. Also, Terry Francona. If you didn't hear that earlier, Terry Francona, the manager of the Indians, is going to be taking a leave of absence. I saw him in a press conference last week when they announced the name of the change, the change in the name. He looked terrible. I never seen him get. He looks so heavy. His head looked like it was huge. Hopefully he's okay. And just sort of a Mets note. Mark Vientos, the prospect that the Mets have, who's the Mets' 8th best prospect according to MLB.com, he hit another home run tonight. He has been on fire. Check these numbers out. And I'm surprised his name hasn't been mentioned in trades. Now, as you know, Binghamton is Double-A, Binghamton, New York. Binghamton is one of these places, Double-A, which is considered a very good league. Because usually Double-A, all the prospects are there. So if he's hitting home runs, he's hitting home runs off of prospects. So he's 21 years old, and he's been with the Mets since 2017. And over the last 128 at-bats, he's got 17 home runs. He's got 20 for the season. So for the first, how many bats he had 3 home runs, and he's got 17 in the last 128. And he's the 8th minor league player to hit 20 home runs so far this year. So his value has gone through the roof. Now he's a third baseman. And he's been a third baseman all his whole, his amateur career, and now his minor league career. But they've been playing him in left. They've compared him in the minor leagues to Pete Alonso in terms of his power. That's high regard for him. This is prior to this year. And I know they've been playing him in left field. They also had Brett Batty, who's probably ahead of him in terms of development. I know 2 years ago that Vientos was struggling in Port St. Lucie, but I think Batty got He got promoted to Double-A. He's playing left. I think they kind of switch him back and forth. So they're on the same team now. I'm sorry if I'm a little behind. It's a lot. I didn't write this down, but they're on the same team and they're playing left and they're playing third. But Batty's ahead of him in terms of development, believe it or not. But so the Mets have a glut there at third base. So one of them's going to be here. Probably Batty, I would think, is going to be the third baseman on this team. But going forward. But like I said, the Mets farm system is very high end in terms of the prospects in Major League Baseball. They just don't have the depth. People want Alvarez. The Cubs are crazy. They were asking for Alvarez before the season started for Chris Bryant. And the Mets basically told him no. Basically told him no. So that wasn't going to happen. Let me go do a couple other names that are going to probably, you might hear about. Well, I would mention Danny Duffy got traded. Um, Danny Duffy got traded from the Royals to the Dodgers. Diego Castillo got traded to the from the Marlins to the Mariners. Yimi Garcia got traded from the Marlins to the. I'm sorry, Tampa. Diego, I'll get it right. Castillo got traded from the Rays to because the Rays are crazy to the Mariners, and Yimi Garcia got traded from the Marlins to the Astros. Let's go through a couple other names. Our buddy Hanso Robles. You think anybody's going to pick him up? I don't know. Bryant Shaw, he'll probably get moved. He's with the Indians. I won't be surprised if the Mets would be interested in him. Caleb Smith, Adam Duvall. There was talk that the Braves were interested in him, but that did not happen. Jesus Aguilar, we'll see. Michael A. Taylor, David Peralta, that's been named that bounced around here and there. Robbie Grossman of the Tigers. The Tigers shouldn't trade anybody. I wonder if Wilson Contreras might get traded now from the Cubs. That might be a possibility. Like I said, they're probably going to move everybody. Tanner Scott. Now, the last three names I have here are guys that are on the Orioles. Tanner Scott, Cole Sulser, and Dylan Tate. Dylan Tate sounds like he's from a Western, but those guys are relievers with the Orioles. I don't know what the Orioles are. I haven't heard much with them, to be honest with you. I haven't heard much with the Orioles. I don't know. Again, that's another team that is the fan base really, they deserve better than that. But please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the comic book. I mean, the comic book. I'm all right to the baseball hut. I'll get it right. And again, I will be back again tomorrow. If there is a trade in the morning, I will try my best. I will try my best to do a live stream in the morning if there's a trade. Now I have to go out in the morning. I have to run my errands. I have to go to the bank. Believe it or not, I actually do go to the bank. I have to do a couple things there, but I have some errands to run. And then afterwards, I'll be back. All likelihood, which is probably a high probability, I'll be back here at 1 o'clock for the trade deadline. And the trade deadline is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can see through the thumbnail when you come in here, you can see that I will be, that the trade deadline is at 4 p.m. So 17 hours from now, a little over 17 hours now, we will have some trades. More trades. Michael Scott says, the Orioles have Matt Harvey. Do we want him? Okay, let me ask you something. Do you need some cars parked? Because you don't want him. He's got an ERA over 7. So that's not happening. If the Mets need some cars parked, they can ask Matt Harvey to park some of the players' cars at this point. But we will see. But I think the Mets will probably do something. I think they'll be very busy tomorrow. I think they're kind of waiting for the price tag to come down. I mean, we know from Sandy's own history here from 6 years ago, he takes it to the edge. He takes it to the second that the deadline is over. So that's what I think we're going to be. That's why I'm probably going to be here after 4 o'clock. I'm probably going to be on. I'm going to be on after 4 o'clock tomorrow anyway. So I'm going to be on probably like 4:30, 5 o'clock, talking about the trade that they made. I think they're going to surprise us. I think something is going to something big is going to happen tomorrow. There was a lot of talk that the Mets were planning on doing something big. Randy Fernandez, what's a bigger need in your opinion, a starter or a bat? My opinion, a bat. I agree with you. The Mets always have good pitching. The problem with the Mets is always they never have enough offense. They never have enough guys that can drive the ball, in and bring the runners in. As you know, the Mets are a pitching organization traditionally, and they've always struggled with the bats. Now, I would say they need some more help with the pitching. because of the fact there was no season last year for most of these guys, and they didn't play until August. That the innings are starting to go up. You know, the inning count is going up. It's one of those things. Got to keep in mind that Marcus Stroman didn't play at all. He opted out last year. Taijuan Walker coming back from an injury. Now I have MLB.com on, and they're showing Trevor Story. I guess he's playing. He's sitting on the bench right now, so he's playing as far as I can see here. So Story has 13 home runs and 17 stolen bases this year. The last Rocket to have it, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases was Larry Walker in 1997. Okay. Yes, Sony asked me if do I think there's going to be a big trade tomorrow? Yes. Michael Caruso, since he mentioned him, can everyone please stop talking about Bryant to the Mets? Sheesh. Sheesh, what a grouch. We're going to talk about Chris Bryant. Let's talk about Chris Bryant again. He did not play today. He was on the bench, and so was Anthony Rizzo, by the way. And Chris Bryant is probably it's Chris Bryant. So he, yeah, I think that there's probably a good chance he's probably going to be here with the Mets. I said back before the season started that what the Cubs did, specifically when we got to May, June, and July, that the Mets are going to have to keep an eye on what the Cubs did. Now the Cubs had a good, strong April. They had a strong May, and that they were, and then we saw that. But then in June they played poorly, and July they've been a disaster. And obviously now they're breaking up the team. They moved. Uh, hey, one of the Ernies. Hey, what's up there, Ernie? Ernie LeBar. What's going on? One of my Ernies is back. Whatever happened to Ernie Delgado? Kind of like he told me to F myself and opening dead, and I haven't seen him since. But what the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, about Chris Bryant. So Chris Bryant had a good April. He had a good May. He had a lousy June, and he's sort of been surging upward over the last few weeks. Phase 114. Hey, what's up? First time, nice channel, bro. Well, thank you, and please subscribe. Now, I would point out I'm not nearly as nice as some of the other YouTubers. It can get a little rough around here. So just keep that in mind. I'm from New York. I'm actually real New Yorker talking about the Mets. I'm not from out of town. So we've been talking about Chris Bryant since before the season started. So it's one of those things that it's sort of been sitting out there. Now, obviously, we're going to see what kind of trade the Mets make. I think they're going to be busy tomorrow. That's why I'm kind of on late. It's been very quiet tonight. And because it's been quiet tonight, I figured let the other channels do what they got to do. And I'll just sort of wait and see, what happens. Now it's quiet tonight, like I said. And with the Mets anyway. But I think I said earlier in the live stream, this thing with Scherzer, this sort of came up over the last few days. Now, I talked about the Mets getting him, so I kind of figured that they were going to break up this team because the Nationals and Mike Rizzo down there, they don't wait. They don't care about they don't wait. Okay, they move players out of here like it's nothing. So that's why I'm not nearly as surprised as everybody else might have been. And obviously this thing with Trey Turner popped up just all of a sudden. That was like a shock that they were talking about moving him. So they've both gone to the Dodgers. and they made that big trade. So that's a team Mets don't have to worry about. But going forward, uh, but obviously the Cubs are breaking up their team. They won a World Series 5 years ago. Anthony Rizzo was believed, and I believe this too, that he was a player that was probably not going to get moved. That they liked him a lot. I mean, they really personally liked him in their organization, on the team. The town loves him. He's really the first big move that they really made there when they traded for him from the Padres. So there's a little bit of a connection there with him in particular. So now that he is gone, the rest of these players are going to be moved. They're going to move everybody now. Other than maybe Kyle Hendricks because he's got a contract. Everybody's getting traded. Everybody. Everybody. I believe that now. So Sledge 420 says Kyle Schwarber to the Red Sox. That might be a possibility. Did that happen? Oh, wow. I mentioned them. I did mention the Red Sox a little while ago. That's the response. Wow. I'm glad I was on. So Kyle Schwarber has been traded to the Red Sox. And if you watched the live stream from earlier, I mentioned two teams were on him after the Yankees. And that was the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. And now he's gone up to Boston. So there's the reaction from what the Yankees did today and yesterday. So that's a big trade too. But he's on the injured list, so we'll see. This is from Joel Sherman. Schwarber's on the IL with a hamstring injury, still a few weeks from returning. He has never played first in the majors, but that might be where he fits best for the Red Sox. Yes, Michael Scott asked, "Did that happen?" Yes, it's happening now. Wow, this is not over. That's why I decided to come on later. Got a trade. Okay, from John Heyman, Nats get right-handed pitcher Aldo Ramirez. I have no idea. Wouldn't know him if I fell on him. Does he pitch for them now? Let's take a look. Aldo. That's an easy name to find. No. He's not in the majors. Ramirez. Let's take a peek. He's not a soccer player. What the hell's going on here? Aldo Ramirez. Now, please like the video if you haven't already. All right. Don't mind me. I'm just checking out on the player. Aldo Nova. They said it was Ramirez. What the hell's going on here? Let's take a peek again. From Louis, Mets will do nothing because Sandy is weak. Okay. That makes no sense. He's not the GM. He's not the GM. I would point out he's taken 4 teams to the World Series. By the way, 4 teams to the World Series in his career as a GM. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right. From Powerful Game, we're going to get another Chris Benson. There's another guy who's living in the past. A Chris H. You think Soto is going to want out? No. He can't do anything about it anyway. He's got a pre-arbitration contract. He has no power there. I don't care for negativity, Louis. Sorry. I don't care for that. If you're not, let me tell you something. If you were a fan, you're a fan to thick and thin. I don't need the negativity here because I'm not negative about the Mets ever. I was negative about the Wilpons, but never about the team. So anybody coming in here saying you have no faith, get the hell out of here. It's simple. There's a very different channel than all the other channels. There's no understanding here. But thank you for watching, and see you in the Phantom Zone. That's the one thing I can't deal with. I'll be honest with you folks. We have fun here. I like talking about the Mets, but I can't deal with someone coming in here and do nothing but bitching and complaining. Okay, if I want to hear somebody bitching and complaining, I'll talk to some of the women in my life. About nothing important. You know what I mean? No offense to Louis. Louis is now with the Comms Gators and a couple of other grumpy old Met fans. Yeah, go get your shine box, Louis. Very positive. I don't like the negativity because once you draw from that negativity, it doesn't stop. Powerful Game says we need two bats and a starter. No, we need one bat and a starter and a reliever. They don't need two bats, I don't think. They've done it okay enough. I think if you brought in a guy that is on a bad team and he has high energy, uh, then the Mets would be in good shape. Here's from Jim Bowden. It's about the Red Sox. The Red Sox have acquired left fielder DH injured list Kyle Schwarber from the Nationals for right-handed pitcher Aldo Ramirez. According to a source, next on their agenda is the trade Daniel Hudson. Daniel Hudson? I'm confused. Where's Dan? I thought Daniel Hudson was with the Nationals. Now, please like this video if you haven't already. And Daniel Hudson. So they want to get Daniel Hudson, okay? D. Savage, Bryant and Kimbrel just got traded to the Mets. Oh, okay. You say so. So we got another team for Hudson. So let me just check. Always gotta check. Yeah, nice try with the Mets trade. I make up the Mets trades around here, by the way. Hello, Ricky. How you doing, Ricky? What's up? What about Barrios, Kimbrel, and Bryant? That's a lot. That's a lot. You know, if you would, I mentioned this I think the other day about this injury that Dwight Gooden had in 1989. He got hurt. He hurt his shoulder, and the Mets brought in Frank Viola. And Frank only went 5-5. He was 500 pitcher than 89 down the stretch. But he was an ace. Now Frank Viola was an ace pitcher. He was the best pitcher one of the best pitchers in the American League. He won the Cy Young in '88, won the World Series in '87. So he's one of the best pitchers in the American League when they brought him in here. The Mets did not have their number one starter for a good portion of the second half of that season. DeGrom has been injured. Now, do you make a big trade for Barrios? Now, I've heard that the Mets are a little annoyed with the price tag for him, that they're asking for a lot. I know Ronnie Mauricio has been discussed. I've heard the name on Twitter and bouncing around. That's an obvious player for the Twins to ask for. All right, here's from Mark Feinstein. There's no Mets related stuff here right now. The Red Sox had been seeking a left-handed bat. Ultimately landing on Schwarber. Boston had talked to the Royals about Carlos Santana, but Casey wasn't inclined to move the veteran switch hitter who was signed for 2022. Due diligence. I remember a guy named Jason Hockamy pitching in place of Dwight Good. That was in 94. N-Man 40. Frank Viola said years ago that Matt was the best of the young guns back in 2014, 2015. How did that turn out? Well, before the injuries, he probably was. Probably was. You know, probably was. Oh, now he's saying Matt's. Oh, he said Matt's. Well, that wasn't true. The thing about Steven is Steven, he was too high strung here. Had too much pressure being in New York and being a Long Island kid. That wasn't going to work out, and it didn't. And he's pitched pretty good, and he looked pretty good last week when he pitched against the Mets. You could tell he was nervous in that first inning, and Pete got him good. Did you see that home run today by Pete? Did that ball come down yet? That ball went up into the upper tank. Holy crap! Imagine where that ball would have went at Shea Stadium. That ball would have went over the scoreboard. It would have been over the old scoreboard by over the bleachers. Jazz Crab. I love Frank Viola. Is he still coaching? No, I don't think he's coaching anymore. He had a heart problem, and I think right after he just basically that was it. I thought that he was going to make it to the major leagues, but he had like a heart attack or had some kind of heart surgery, and pretty much after that he wasn't. I know the Mets had liked him a lot. They had liked him a lot, and I think he was on pace to become the Mets pitching coach But I think because of his health, I think that that was out of the question. Because then he would have to travel and all this stuff. But that was it. But I know that they really liked him a lot for that, especially in the minor leagues. And he would have been the man. I think he would have been here, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. But yeah. So we have trade. I'm going to stay on a little bit longer because I was got to trade now. We got Kyle Schwarber going to the Red Sox. Nelson Padilla. Good night, Jensen Gal. See you later. Boy, see you later. But don't mind me. Not usually up this late doing a live stream with baseball. I don't normally do my live streams this late at night, for me anyway. But like I said, I've been saying I've been on vacation, so I don't have to worry about getting up early tomorrow. But like I said, we're gonna have a big show tomorrow. Gonna have a big show tomorrow. Uh, if there's a trade in the morning, as long as I'm not out, I will come on in a live stream. Um, and obviously I'll be back on at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock is the definite. I will be on. From Michael Scott. Hut, do you think the Mets will make several trades tomorrow? Yes. From Randy Fernandez. Hey, Hut, why the Mets had to sign so early? I don't know why they did that. To me, it's not worth that much. Even before the year started, with Cohen as the owner, I would have waited until the year ended just to see how he played. I agree with you, and I think I mentioned I didn't have a problem. Um, I didn't have a problem with them bringing him in and making that trade, but I had a problem them signing him so quickly because I thought that I needed to see him play here, um, and have a chance to sort of, well, let's see how he can handle New York. He's been a little shaky with some of the things he has said since he's been here. I didn't like when he hit the grand slam at City Field that he didn't like get crazy and was pumping his fists. He said after the game that he thought he was going to be booed, and I thought that why? Why would he think that he would be booed in that situation? So it sort of was a bit of a red flag to me. I think he has a little bit of. He's got a bigger personality than Carlos Beltran, but I think he has. I think because he was from a small market all those years in Cleveland, and he's used to the fans saying, "I love you. We want you here." But and he's a little bit different. He's a free agent. He's making a lot of money. I think the Mets should have been a lot wiser. I just in general, and I thought this at the time that they should have just let it wait. They should have waited to see how he would perform here. They were in too much of a rush to get it done before spring training. And considering the kind of shortstops that are going to be available this offseason, Corey Seager is going to be available. Carlos Correa, which I'm not a fan of. I think he's overrated. And I have a problem bringing in one of these Astros, even though I wanted George Springer here. Trevor Story, obviously. Javier Baez. Marcus Semien, although he's playing second in Toronto. There was a lot of shortstops that would have been really good fits here. Not so much here, But like I said, uh, you know, I will say this: he's a great defensive shortstop. He's great, but he didn't have a great arm. his arm is not a great arm. I mean, I seen him throw enough balls to first to where he has to bounce them. And when your shortstop bounces the ball to first, he doesn't have a strong arm, but he has great range. He has great hands, and his leadership skills on the field are great. Okay, those three qualities sort of overlap the soft arm that he has. You know, he can win a Gold Glove this year. That's how well I thought that he has played at shortstop. But the arm isn't great. Now, if you see his wins above replacement, it's actually second on the Mets, I think, still. So he is really, a great defensive shortstop. But his offense is shaky. I did mention this. I mentioned this a week or two ago that I read somewhere that somebody online had said that he was not hitting the ball nearly as hard as he had been. that the exit velocity on a swung on batted balls was not nearly as high as it had been over the last year and a half. And I should have mentioned that when the Mets made the trade, that I had some reservations about his playing on the field offensively. All right. But we got to give him time because, like I said with Beltran had a lousy first year. He had an injury, basically broke his face, smashing into Mike Cameron in San Diego. And obviously now with Lindor being hurt, it hurts him. It's going to be interesting to see how he comes back. Uh, we'll see how he comes back in the in September. He's going to come back in September. He is going to come back, I would think. September is probably the most obvious place. So he's lost a lot of time. He's losing a lot of time sitting on the bench now. Hopefully now when he comes back, he'll have a different perspective on what he needs to do. Now, I was concerned about his health issues going forward because I felt that I wanted a shortstop that was a little more durable just on the surface than him, you know. And I don't like the idea of giving these guys 10-year contracts. They never work out. So, but that's my opinion. And I think eventually he's not going to be the shortstop on this team. I think 3 or 4 years from now, Mets will have some other shortstop there, and they'll probably have him on second or third or the outfield or something like that. But all right, let me take another drink. Hold on, I need you. Gluk, 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 gluk. Sweaty R6. Who do you think we are getting tomorrow? I'm going to say this again. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be Chris Bryant. They are going to make a big trade. I think they'll make a few trades. I think they need bullpen help. I think we all know that. They need an arm in that bullpen because this bullpen is worn out. So they need another guy in that bullpen to pitch. I also think that they need another starter. I know they're looking for a back-end starter. I don't think they're looking for a guy, say, like Barrios. But if Barrios is available, you got to ask and what the situation is. You know what I mean? And they need another position player. All right, here's another rumor. This is from Robert Murray. San Diego Padres are in serious talks on a deal to acquire Daniel Hudson from the Washington Nationals, according to sources familiar with the situation. So we have a team that's popped up now with Daniel Hudson, and that's the Padres. That was not a team that was mentioned. But obviously they've been looking for another reliever out there, and I've been seeing their name all over the place with relievers. So, and they probably could use a little help out there. Michael Scott says, have we really missed Lindor since he's been out? No, I don't think we have. I don't think the team has. I think probably leadership-wise, they probably have. But on the field, I don't think so. The Shraken says, I want Javier Baez. He's a good player. I know that he strikes out a lot. John Danzo, another negative Nelly in Sector G. The moves they have made are reminiscent of the Wilpons, i.e., nothing big. Rich Hill is nice, but not enough to make a splash. Okay. You know, let go of the past. The past is the past. You should call up Jeff Wilpon and said, I miss you. Why don't you take over the team? Jesus. I mean, what do you want them to do? I'm giving you the floor. You write to the chat what you want the Mets to do. What do you want them to do that they haven't done yet? I would point out the Braves haven't done anything and the Phillies haven't done anything. Okay? But since you're complaining about the Wilpons and they are gone, I want to know what you want them to do. It's a very simple question. Instead of complaining about the Wilpons probably for the millionth time that you've probably done over the last 40 years, because from that comment that you wrote here, I can tell you're probably an older Mets fan that's up late and pissed off. As the chat's gotten very quiet now. The chat's gotten very quiet. I'm waiting, John. I like to know what you think. The floor is yours, Senator. I think the chat is stunned. I think I've shocked everybody. I'm giving you a moment to tell me. I want something realistic, Steve say. Now, it's Mike Trout. Mike Trout's hurt, so he might be a Met, Don't come in here and throw out a blanket statement about stuff from the Wilpons. I'm tired of hearing about the Wilpons. Okay? You're coming in here complaining about the Wilpons. They sold the team almost a year ago. They are gone. So I'm asking you, what do you want them to do? You have a chance to tell the chat. I'm not blocking you. Speak up. Don't come in here and complain. And I would point out about Rich Hill, he's pitched in the World Series. Okay? And he's pitched well in the World Series, by the way, with the Dodgers. I am pissed off because I have suffered with this team since the 70s. I told you, didn't I tell you? Yeah, I'm tired of hearing you complaining. Tell me what you want the Mets to do. Don't tell me you're pissed. Tell me what you want them to do. And I don't need a history lesson. What do you want them to do right now? I don't care about your life story. I want to know what you want them to do right now, between now and the trading deadline. Don't tell me that you're mad. I don't give a shit that you're mad. And none of the chat does either. What do you want them to do? I don't want you venting. And I would point out the Mets won at 86. They won in 2015 and went to the World Series. So don't act like you're some suffering person. Give me a break. I want to know. Here's Charlie De Lorenzo. We're making you the GM. John, stop complaining. Tell me what you want. Let's have a conversation. I want a conversation. I don't want you complaining. What do you want them to do? Okay? I look at you here and now. The Wilpons are gone. I don't care what your life was in the 70s. What do you want them to do 2021? 2021. Let's live for now. Okay? I'm again, I gave him a chance to say something. He hasn't said anything. He complained. Nothing. I didn't think so. He just wants to complain. And I have a very short fuse when it comes to old Met fans. It's funny. And I think I mentioned this. On my comic book channel, when I was doing all the comic books and stuff, it's always the guys that are in their late 30s and 40s. Well, John is just he's gonna chicken out. John's a coward. He doesn't want to say it. So you know what? Since do you want me to send you to the Phantom Zone? No problem. No, they're not going to roast you there's no roasting if you say, I want Chris Bryant, I want Javier Baez. But coming in here and complaining and giving me your life story, that doesn't appeal to me as the host of this channel. I like the LeDuck man. I like how he's thinking. I like that. See, something like that. But John doesn't want to say nothing. He's a coward. Sorry. I'm having a conversation with the chat. Most channels don't do that. Well, that's not going to happen. I want something realistic. That is a complaint. That's a complaint, John. I don't want a complaint. What do you want them to do now? Cano is on the restricted list. He can't play. He's suspended. So that's over with. Okay? See that? Well, at least we're getting John into 2018. So he's jumped 40 years. Thank God. Thank God I got John into 2018. I got him from the 70s to 2018. Thank God. I'm giving you a chance. All you're doing is complaining about the past. John Heyman, Padres are closing in on a deal for Daniel Hudson. Okay. Here's from the Shraken. Okay, get us Javi Baez and Kimbrel to the Mets plus John Gray. Oh, there you go. That's not bad. That's a good idea. You know, that's a good one. So I think kind of John, I think he don't know where to go. He don't know where to go. He's backed up in a corner because all the other channels placate to him. Here's from Bill. Personally, I just want one big addition. I'll highlight it. Big Bill Karen. Whether it's Bryant, Baez, Barrios, I think we all have different ideas of who would be the smart move at this point. We'd all just take any big name. You're right. We've reached Eureka, the current year. We've reached the current year from John. It took him 20 minutes. I want this team to get pitching. Bryant and Baez were good, but we need pitching. But I guess my opinion means nothing. I've been asking you for 10 minutes your opinion. Here we go. He's Rip Van Winkle has entered 2021. We got him to stop complaining about the 1970s. I brought some guy into the future. God bless John Danzel. Thank you, John. There you go. There you go. He wants pitching. Okay. There you go. Now we're into the present. I thought this was going to take all night. Thought this was going to take all night. All right. From Nelson. Trey and Max to the Dodgers. The Mets get Kyle Seager and James Paxton. I don't think so. That's not happening. From Joe. I would like Baez over Bryant, but I don't necessarily think trading JD for someone who might not be a big improvement is that exciting. I don't disagree with you on that one. Although I wouldn't mention about Baez, he's very good defensively, and he's very smart. And he's not afraid of the big moment, and he's won a World Series on a team that hadn't won a World Series in 100 years. And he was the National League MVP. He was the National League MVP in the playoffs. So, let's see. Capping Ryan is insane. Just got Lindor. From Randy Fernandez. Carrasco over under 4 2/3 innings pitched. Probably under. I mean, he pitched 3 innings last time. The other day. From Garden State Garden. What other closer type relievers can be on the market? All right, let's go through it. We got Kimbrel. A second. Got an email. It's just junk. So Kimbrel's the number one guy. There's probably not a lot out there. Let me just say. Maybe Daniel Bard. There's really nobody out there, really. There's no big light closer out there. Unless somebody is made available. That's a surprise name. The only guy I see on here is Kimbrel. And there are a lot of teams that want him. Stony 814. Hut, for a minute there, you sound like an Australian. Cheerio, mate. That's not a knife. This is a knife. No, I don't. That's not one of my impressions as an Australian. My Australian sounds like he's from the South. Roberto Osuna is a free agent. Randy Fernandez. Gregory Soto from the Tigers. Michael Scott. Hut, you don't like Kimbrel? Oh, I like Kimbrel. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. And he pitched in Boston and won a World Series in Boston. seen him enough with the Braves. Should put the Braves on this too because I've heard the Braves here too. Braves have been quiet. I haven't heard too many names attached to the Braves. I've seen some smattering with the Phillies, but I haven't read anything. And the hut means anything with the Braves. Nothing. That injury they had to Acuna, they should just stand pat. To be honest with you, I know they brought in Jock Peterson. I don't think Charlie Morton's getting moved. I want to mention. I sort of forgot to mention this. Uh, After the trading deadline tomorrow 4, which now we're getting to 16 and a half hours from the trade deadline. Um, there is no waiver deals this year. So when the strike hits when the clock hits 4 o'clock tomorrow, there is no trades in August. So there's no late trade to be had. So any trade that's why there's gonna be so many trades tomorrow. And probably before I go to bed. Uh so there are gonna be trades tomorrow that are probably gonna come in late. Probably like at 4 o'clock. So that's why I'm gonna stay on as late as I can, probably to 4:30, 5 o'clock, to get in as much as I can get in. Um, but all right, this is the trade for Daniel Hudson, and let me put down where the hell did he go? Uh, San Diego, I think. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm getting all screwed up here. San Diego. So he went to San Diego. The Nats are getting Mason Thompson. I have no idea who that is. Probably a minor leaguer. So we'll put pen in for him. Uh, Nelson Del Lobre. Would you take Donaldson's contract and amend Buxton? Buxton is hurt. Again, Buxton is hurt. He has not played nothing more than he's played 29 games this year. He had a leg injury and he broke his hand. The guy is always hurt. And when he plays, when he gets hurt, he plays great when he gets hurt. But when he plays regularly, he plays terrible. He's a 240 hitter. I wouldn't touch him. So that, I mean, pretty much. So Kimbrel is really the big name, you know. I know that the Dodgers are interested in Kimbrel, but I could see him going anywhere really. Braves. I should have mentioned, like I said, the Braves, the Red Sox again, the Padres. The Padres might be out now that they picked up Hudson. The White Sox, the Mariners, the Phillies. But like I said, I haven't heard much of. I haven't heard really that much of the Braves. They've been very quiet. Greg Zeman. August schedule looks difficult. San Francisco and LA for 13 days. Get Story and get Kimbrel. Well, maybe. Maybe. I do like Kimbrel a lot. I do like him a lot. I would not mind having him in the back of the bullpen. Because I don't really trust Edwin Diaz. And but we'll see. And the Nationals, they're basically, laying down for the rest of the season. They're basically telling you that next year is probably a rebuild year. Hopefully they got some stuff for. Hopefully they got some good players for Scherzer and Turner. I mean, they basically said that they were after they let Rendon leave. They were basically telling you they were rebuilding. And as you know, Steven Strasburg, he has that blood clot in I think his neck. He's got to get surgery on his arm. It's terrible. I don't think he's coming back from that. Most players don't come back from that injury, from that surgery. Matt Harvey did not come back from that. Dylan G really didn't come back from that. From David, let's see. Very interesting what the Mets do. This team has shown too much inconsistency with the pitching. No, with the batting, with the hitting. And significant upgrades that they had to push for the play. First of all, David, the Mets have pitched really well. They've had the best pitcher in the game. Taijuan Walker's pitched well for the most part up until recently. Marcus Stroman has been pretty good. The bullpen has been really good. The defense has been good. The most inconsistent part, and which has been bad at times, has been the offense. They need another starter just to have another starter in here as a veteran guy that's going to give them 5 innings. That's not going to kill this bullpen. That's why they're looking at back end guys like John Gray and some of the guys in Tampa and in Milwaukee. Um, and but the offense has been a problem since the very beginning. I got SNY on right now, and freaking Salicott, I don't even have the sound on, and just seeing him speak is hurting my ears. God, he's always screaming. Just talk like a regular person. But that's my son. My complaint about WFN. But the Mets need pitching. Obviously, they need a starter in here that's going to fill out the back end of the rotation to where it doesn't hurt the bullpen. Um, Cappy Ron asks, is Trevor Rogers available? No, he's on the injured list. Man 40, Mets really have to take this opportunity to make moves and succeed now. But the Nats on their way down, the Marlins being the Nationals and the Marlins and Phillies and Braves up and down. The opportunity is now. Okay. What are you screaming for? That's a mouthful. So, a lot of the players that we're talking about, especially the everyday players, other than, really all of them, Trevor Story, Baez, and Bryant all strike out a lot, but all the players strike out a lot. But so that's why people have been writing to me about Javier Baez, and people complaining about his strikeouts. I want to point out something important. The Yankees brought in Joey Gallo. The Yankees have 3 of the 4 current players in the major leagues that have struck out 200 times in a season. Joey Gallo, Giancarlo Stanton, and Horseface himself, Aaron Judge. So those 3 guys are going to strike out a lot. Now they brought in Rizzo. He doesn't strike out. But from Steve C., who has like information, the Mets aren't close to any trades right now. I was told. Oh, okay. Who told you, Steve C? Mahan, I would ask you not to scream in the chat. Okay, relax. Mets have at least a little over 16 hours before the trading deadline. Of course, calm yourself. There's no screaming here in the chat. All right, we don't need all caps. I can read what you write. And welcome to the chat. I've never seen you come in before. I am not as nice as some of your favorite YouTubers. I could be a little grumpy. From Garden State Gardener. I think Story is a better player than Baez, but believe Baez is a better fifth in New York. Think he is a player that can excel. I think so too. I think he would play great here. I like him a lot. I've liked him for a long time. He doesn't get on base a lot, but he does a lot of stuff on the field. He's probably one of the smartest players in the game, I think. He's a great base runner. He's a great defensive player. You can play him anywhere, and he'll win a Gold Glove anywhere. He has power. Does strike out a lot. That is a negative. But all the players strike out a lot. He might not be a sandy guy because of the fact that he doesn't get on base enough. But he is a high energy player, and he's a big game player. Let me just look at his numbers real quick. See, I just want to look at his strikeouts. He's got 100. Wow, he's got 130 strikeouts this year. That's a lot. He's gonna get awfully close to 200. The most he's ever struck out is 167. He has been basically played every day. He's played a lot. 2-time All-Star, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, NLCS MVP. He's won a World Series. Let's go through some of his numbers. A 262 lifetime hitter. His on-base percentage is 302. That's not great. The slugging percentage is 474. That's not bad for a middle infielder. 777 OPS. That's not bad. It could be a little bit better. His better years has been better. He came in second in the MVP voting in 2018. His best year is 2018. He hit 290. 34 home runs, 111 RBIs, 21 stolen bases, 326 on base percentage, 101 runs scored. That's pretty good. He played in 160 games in 2018. That's a good year. He didn't become an everyday player until 2016. So he had 2 years where he was sort of going back and forth between the minors and Chicago. It's really a non-fact in 2015, as we know. He's got an MVP in the playoffs. Jack Tube JJJ. My Giants are going to steal Chris Bryant after the Mad Max and Turner. You a New York Giants fan? Are you a New York Giants fan? You might be on the wrong show. But man, what do you think is the chances the Mets land Chris Bryant? Is it 50-50? I might be it's gonna be higher than that. It's gonna be 70-30 chance that Chris Bryant will be with the Mets. I think with Javier Baez, I think it will be 30-70. So 30% chance I think he'll be here. I don't know if it'll be both. I was thinking maybe it might be both. I don't know. For some reason, some weird reason. I was just thinking about that the last few hours, but like I said, with the Yankees getting Anthony Rizzo, the shortstop market, and the Dodgers getting a shortstop with Trey Turner, the shortstop market is kind of trying to figure out where some of these guys are going to go. I don't know where Baez is going to go. I don't know where Story is going to go. So their price tags might be dropping after this trade of Rizzo. Now, I would point out that Baez has got 22 home runs and 65 RBIs. And he's played pretty much every day, but I like to look at this stuff. Hold on a second. But he's on pace. He's got one less home run than Pete. He's on pace to hit 40 home runs. He's on pace to hit 40 home runs. Let's see something. Let me check this again. So he's on pace to hit 35 home runs. 35 home runs, and he's on pace to drive in 102 RBIs. That's pretty good from a shortstop. That's pretty good from a middle infielder. And his numbers are much better than Chris Bryant's numbers. Let me just double check again. His wins above replacement is 2.8. It's high. And 21.9 over his career. He's about the same as all the other shortstops. I think Lindor is a little bit harder than his. Let's check on my phone. This is from Tim Healy, covers the Mets for Newsday. Sounds like the Mets won't be making a trade tonight. If they find a deal to add to their first place team, it'll come on the day of the deadline. Okay. You know, this thing with Scherzer, they've not announced that. And I think I said once that deal gets announced, you're going to see a lot of dominoes fall, and you'll probably see a lot of teams run into the Twins, Barrios, and then all these other pitchers. The Mets are going to pick up another starter. That is without a doubt. Because like I said, they need the depth. They're going to have to, and I will point out, I didn't mention this earlier either, is that Tyler McGill, his innings have to be managed. Okay, Tyler McGill has been a godsend to the Mets. He's pitched great, and the Mets have won all the games. They're going with 6-1. From Tom, that's a good question. From Tom Smith, say the Mets trade for Baez. Who do you try to sign, Baez or Conforto? Well, here's the thing. Conforto has played lousy, and he's been injured. And I could see the Mets giving him a qualifying offer and him taking it and playing another year here to get his value up. I think Conforto now, because he's played so lousy, he has put himself in a different kind of position than what he might have been if he'd stayed healthy and he played well. He's not played well at all. Now he made a great play last night. That was a great throw last night. He's played great defense, but his offense has been horrendous. Has been terrible. His value is gone. He's got no value right now. I am not the biggest Conforto fan with his bat because he is sort of up and down. He's too streaky for my taste. All right. Now Baez is a different story. If they bring in Baez, I can. Already he has said that he will play here with Lindor, and I can put him at second, and I don't have to worry about his defense. And I still have McNeil here, and I could play McNeil at third for another year or so, and bounce him around after. Say they want to call up Brett Batty or they want to call up Vientos. I can move McNeil around all over the place. Uh, but uh, uh, so it's the thing with Conforto is the injury aside, he has played horrendous. So the Mets will offer him a contract, a qualifying offer, even if he goes to another team, which I don't see any team giving him a big contract coming off this year. The Mets will get a draft pick. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to take it, and no team's going to sign to a big contract. Maybe they'll sign it to a 2-year deal, but he's just it's a weird situation with him because of his how poorly he is hit. He's unreliable. Okay, and I don't know why he's been so lousy. I don't know if it's the pressure of the last year on his contract or what. I don't know what it is, but he's looked horrendous. You know. No, I'm not getting Michael Scott. I'm not going to get through, go through all the technical parts of Michael. The problem with Michael is the result. You know, from Tom Smith, Baez, Lindor, and Crow Armstrong up the middle defense would be sick. We've not seen Crow Armstrong. I cannot attest to his defense. You know, so I couldn't like really um, talk about. No one has seen him, and he was hurt this year. His non-throwing arm. He hurt his arm, so he's missed the whole season. But that I know I can't really talk about that. Yeah, I mean Baez and Story have played second. I think Story hasn't played second in the majors. I think he's played there in the minors. Now Baez has played on the Puerto Rican team with Lindor, and he was the second baseman. So since Baez said he has no problem being here, it kind of opens the door for the Mets to sort of explore it a little bit. Old man asks, are the Braves gonna catch the Mets? Not a Braves fan, just curious. You know what? The injuries that Acuna injury killed them. It's a horrendous injury to blew out his knee. Terrible. You know. They were talking about that today during the Met game that the injuries to the Braves everyday players has killed them. But they weren't really playing that well before that. The whole division is down, The Phillies bullpen has been terrible and they've done nothing. We're all concerned about what the Mets have done. The Phillies have done nothing. And they're chasing the Mets. They win a game, they lose a game. They win a game, they lose a game. Now they were winning. The Nationals were winning 7-0 in the second game today in the doubleheader. They lost. the freaking the freaking Phillies came back. They came down by 7 runs, but they lost the first game, which was Scherzer's last game with them. He pitched 6 innings. He gave up a run, I think, to Realmuto. All right, here's from Steve C. All right, this is more like it. Better than that guy John who came in crying. I'm just I'm just going to call my shot now. The Mets are going to make one big trade at the deadline with Minnesota. This time next week, Jose Barrios, Taylor Rogers, and Josh Donaldson will be with the Mets. Now, here's a little problem with your shot. Taylor Rogers is on the injured list. And here's another problem. Who are the Mets going to give up? Taylor Rogers was talked about, and he's a closer. And they were probably going to look to get a lot for him because he's been good. What are you going to get for him? Just aside from Barrios. Josh Donaldson, you could probably get him for nothing. And he's got a lot of money coming to him. Donaldson's a throw-in, by the way. Any kind of deal that the Mets make and they want to get a position player, Donaldson's a throw-in. But Donaldson has 2 years left on his contract. And he's a little grumpy. He's got a little mean streak in him. I don't know if you want that mean streak here. This is not a mean team. Here's from Nman40. Something seems off with the Braves. Their player stats are pretty good. The stars are okay. Something's just off with them, even before injuries. Well, they have won the division the last 3 years. So they're doing something right down there. I would like to see the Mets win the division 3 years in a row, which they've never done. But now please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're coming through and listening to the live stream, please leave a comment. Even if you missed the live stream earlier and you're watching it, leave comments. The comments are great. I love when people comment on a live stream. Steve C. Have you seen that video about Josh Donaldson? Which one you talking about? The recent one? What was it? Jared Cole that he was mocking? It was a pitcher that he was mocking, right? Michael Scott, right, Hut? We must consider the good chemistry that's working with this team. We got to be a little careful with some players you bring in here. I don't think Josh Donaldson would be a guy that would ruin the chemistry here. I think a guy like Trevor Bauer would ruin the chemistry here. The one thing about Donaldson, he's been on teams that have won with the A's, with the Blue Jays, with the Braves. That guy knows how to win. You want to have gritty, gutty players. But you have to understand, can he handle a big market? I don't know. So that's the one thing you got to keep in mind about Donaldson. He has been on winning teams. He knows how to beat a team. He knows how to win. Now, he's in a weird situation with Minnesota, because that is a bad team this year, and they've been good for a long time. They've been very good. They were good last year and the year before. So he's in a situation where they're a bad team, and but he has he's grumpy. He's got a mean streak. Mean streak is not a bad thing, and I've not heard him having problems within his clubhouse. But there had to been a reason why he got traded from the A's to the Blue Jays years ago. It's funny, they had Cespedes and they had Donaldson there, and they traded both of them, and they still won. They still won. From Steve C. Love the Rich Hill trade for the Braves. Playoff tested, reliable veteran, left-handed pitcher with a great slow curveball. Best nickname in baseball. Oh. From Braden Shepard. How do you feel about the Reds? What do I think about the Reds? They're not a bad team. They have a good lineup. Although Suarez had a horrible, completely, totally horrible season. I really like that left fielder they have. He's a fun guy. Obviously Joey Votto is a great player. Joey Votto is a great player. And he's been in Cincinnati all those years. It's a shame he never played here in New York or in Los Angeles or in Chicago. He is a great player. And it's good to see him. First of all, hopefully he doesn't do that when they come here tomorrow when they play the Mets. Uh, but he is a great player. From Bradley S. How is this not a call-in show? Well, because I'm not on camera, right? I don't like being on camera because being on camera, I don't really feel like wearing my Mets paraphernalia. I don't want to have to prove that I'm a Mets fan by having like some crazy background with the Mets logo and jerseys and pictures on the background. I really don't want to. I really don't want to be on camera. You know. So So I just sort of I treat this like I always wanted to do radio when I was a kid because here uh, is obviously the birthplace of talk radio, uh, and I always wanted to do that. So it's sort of taking me a long time to do this. This is like Steve Summers overnight. Hello, Captain Midnight, how you be? Let's hear from the old man. I'm a Rays fan, but I like your show. Good baseball talk. I remember many years ago, and I talked to Charlie O'Finley, and he hung up on me. Let's see. From Steve C. Mets trade Billy McKinney to Dodgers for Carlos Rincon. This was a couple days. It was right. From Garden State Garden, Mets news for today. New York Mets option right-handed pitcher Akeem Bostic to Syracuse, New York. Let me get a drink here. Here's from John Heyman. National setting a speed sell-off record today. Still possible to go. Yan Gomes, Josh Harrison, and Alex Avila. So, got a couple more names here. Yan Gomes is a catcher. So if you want like a backup catcher, he'd be good to have on your team. Me here, you there. I remember one time I had Daryl Strawberry on the phone, and he hung up on me. Hey, Southern Cal Mets fan, you still there? Remember a few years ago, the Mets, I don't know if you knew about this story, but a few years ago, the Mets, obviously, Jacob deGrom, he won his first Cy Young Award, and one reporter did not vote for him. He didn't give him a first place vote, and his name was John Melfi of the San Diego Union Tribune. So Steve Summers had him on, and he wanted to just sort of have fun with him and ask him why he voted for, or he didn't vote for Jacob deGrom. Yes, and Man 40, a San Diego reporter, John Melfi. So he had him come on, and he asked him, why did you not vote for him? He was making fun of him. So, but the reporter didn't know it, so the reporter hung up on him. He didn't realize that he was making fun of him, but he was having fun, He thought he was mocking him, which he was, but he was being sarcastic. And the guy hung up on him. He hung up on me. I wanted to have a little fun with him, and it's hysterically funny, And unfortunately, it didn't go over well for Steve Summers. And Steve is still doing the late nights here. Me here, you there, the Metropolitans. It wasn't even 2 minutes, and man, it wasn't even 2 minutes. It was like, he said it was going, he was going through his shtick, as you know, about Steve Summers, and that was it. Once he did the shtick, the guy's like, can I talk? Can I talk? He was getting all excited. He was getting all pissed off, It's so funny. I should play that next time. If I had a chance, if I wish I had thought about it, I'd play it right now, but it's kind of late now. But, okay, we got the Padres and the Rockies on now. I wonder if Trevor Story is playing tonight. I think he is playing tonight. But So if he's playing, then he probably is not going to get traded just yet. Let me see. No, he's down on the field. Bradley S says, I miss Mike Frances. I do too. He's the guy who's grumpy on the radio. Talk about a grumpy guy. You can see why him and Mad Dog didn't get along. Jeez. What's going on here? Now, please like this video if you haven't already. And if you're coming through, this is an unusual thing, me having a late night live stream. But I figured that there'd be a trade. There was a trade before Kyle Schwarber was traded to the Red Sox. And obviously there's reports all over the place tonight that the Dodgers have made this blockbuster deal involving Trey Turner and Max Scherzer, the future Hall of Famer. I'm watching this game right now between the Padres and the Rockies, and Trevor Story is in the game. Man wants to know, are Mets making any trades tonight? It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. We're going to have to see how it is tomorrow. So probably tomorrow. All right, the Red Sox announced this a little while ago, just so you know. The Red Sox today, this is the Red Sox. Red Sox today acquired all-star outfielder Kyle Schwarber from the Washington Nationals in exchange for minor league right-handed pitcher Aldo Ramirez to make room for Schwarber on the 40-man roster. The Red Sox designate right-handed pitcher Brandon Workman for assignment. Keep an eye on him. Maybe he gets traded. You never know. From Steve C., I feel a huge Mets trade coming. From Michael Scott, you have 2 dislikes. Well, I could tell you where they come from. 1 from my stalker, and 2 from that guy that lives in that chalet, that abyss, that dark hole in New Jersey. That crazy comic creator. Mayan Shearer is a new subscriber. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming by. From Edman40, Jody Mack was mad at Big Mike a few weeks ago. Jody said he texted congrats to Mike on one of his horses winning at Saratoga, and Mike never responded. Jody kept harping on it over and over. That's funny. From Steve C., I'm going to bed. When I wake up, the Mets better trade for a good player. They better. Oh, what's going to happen? Now, it's not Wardy. Wardy doesn't bother anybody, as far as I could tell. Wardy seems like a nice kid. This is a separate thing. This has nothing to do with anything on YouTube with the baseball. It has to do with the comic book side of what I was doing. Comic book fans, you don't know. They are fucking crazy. Excuse my language. They are nuts. From the fans to the YouTubers to the creators. So again, I will be back tomorrow. Just checking something. Yeah, so I'm constantly coming up with videos on trays and stuff. Please check out a couple of videos I have. Check out this Javier Baez video I did yesterday. Check out another video I did of Trevor Story, which I did a few hours ago. Which I really wish it done a lot better than it has. Unless I put a proposed trade, nobody watches it. From Mr. J2. Are you going to be live until 4 p.m.? Mr. J2, I'm going to be on from 1 o'clock till after 4 o'clock. I will probably be on from 4 to 5, probably till 5. You know. So I'm going to be on for a while tomorrow. I'm going to be on pretty much most of the afternoon. I'll probably take a break in the middle of it. I usually take a bathroom break just to stretch my legs out. I haven't done that now, so I'm going to bed soon. But from Michael Scott, I need to retire so I could do more of this. Well, what, listen or start your own show? I'd like to do certain things with this show and a couple of my other shows. But the way my work schedule is, it's it's a pain in the ass, Because I'd love to be able to do certain things during the summertime. I can't do it Uh, kind of trying to remedy that over the next few months, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, this is fun. I mean, I would suggest if you have like any time on your hands and you like doing this, talking and stuff, I would suggest that a lot of you, if you want to do it, uh, do your own podcast. Oh, just listen. Oh, okay. You know, but I really enjoyed doing this. Uh, I really do like doing this. This is why I've been doing this for a long time now. But let's see. From May and Mets prediction: Mets get Baez, Bryant, Barrios, and Kimbrel. Well, why don't they just get everybody else too? From Daniel Kim the Grim, we can finally get to see Carlos Cookie Carrasco. I'm just going to call him Carrasco. I can't call a grown man Cookie. I'm sorry. That's the kind of name you give to like a waitress. I'm saying, not to be sexist. It's not sexist. It's just to point it out. Yeah. But from Nate, what do you think the Red Sox could get? For who? The Red Sox made a trade a little while ago. They acquired Kyle Schwarber. So they made a trade already. So that's already done. Let's see if anything else popping up. I think that's pretty much it. I think all the reporters went to bed. Let me just double check somewhere else here. Ray Rods. Giants get Bryant. Ray Rods. Mets get Baez. Okay, we'll see. Mm. Dodgers are also taking the money from Scherzer and Turner. So there's no money changing hands. Man 40. I don't want to go off top, but I know it's your comic channel. I got back into them a number of years ago. Mainly got into collected editions, omnibus, etc. Do you collect those or floppies? Well, when I was a kid, I always got the floppies, because they were cheap. But the problem is now is that it's actually cheaper to get the collected editions and stuff. The omnibus is expensive, you know. But I like getting the trades. But I have not bought anything in a few months. I've sort of walked away from it all because it's not popular doing a YouTube channel about comics. That's why I kind of went a political way because I've been getting so many people on there over the last 2 weeks. So I had about 1,100 subs for over a year, and I didn't move. And a lot of it has to do with, first of all, the comic book fan. If they're watching on YouTube, they're all a lot of them are in their 40s, and a lot of them are very petulant, very immature socially to begin with. A lot of them are very petty. A lot of them constantly jump on, subscribe to a channel, they unsubscribe to a channel. And when they unsubscribe to a channel, they don't like. Uh, they're not like they unsubscribe and that's it. They unsubscribe and then they tell you why. They'll say, "Well, I don't like what you said about this, or I don't like what you said about that. I'm out of here." They're like, "Fuck this shit. I'm out of here," and they storm off. But then they come back and they watch. So I started doing some videos on a creator that I've sort of become friendly with. He's been on. I've done interviews on there. You need to check out my interviews. And they are. They're grumpy old nerds. But I have a creator that comes on. I talk to him on the phone. He has sent me stuff. He's been very nice to me. He's come on my show. I had him on last year. It was my first real big interview. And I noticed that the last time I had him on my show back in April, I had like all these subscribers come in here, um, and I noticed that. So he got his channel struck down. He had a channel. I was on his channel last year. He had about 12,000 subscribers, 15,000 subscribers. At the end of the year, after the election, he started doing political stuff, and his channel exploded. I mean, like you can't imagine, over a course of a month and a half, to where he had 400,000 subscribers within the course of 2 months. And he said something he shouldn't have said on a live stream that YouTube was watching. And he mentioned something about the election, and they struck him down. They took him down. He had to start all over again. So he got struck down a couple of weeks ago. So I did some videos on it, and people have been flocking to the channel like crazy. Not to the extent of him, but I went from 1,100 to right now it's getting pretty close to 1,600. And I actually have a third channel, which is basically a small channel. Okay, but anyway, that's sort of a quick kind of grumpy old nerds. It's basically what they are, And a lot of them, they just sit there and watch videos. They get involved with sort of the drama that happens, the sort of gossip that happens within the comic book industry, and a lot of it's meaningless nonsense. Most of it, not all of it, but it's really dealing with the unprofessionalism that it's dirty work, dealing with it. It's actually much easier just doing believe it or not, the politics. I'd rather do the politics than do the stuff with the comics, to be honest. Because I got to deal with a bunch of babies. But all right. Randy Fernandez. What about Brian Reynolds? He's a switcher and hits for great average. He's an outfielder, though. I know that an infield is a bigger need. I think the Pirates are not too far off. They need one big player on that team, and I think Brian Reynolds is a pretty good player. They could use like a big star on that team, and I think they'll develop that. But to be honest with you, well, that's a good play by. That's not a good throw by Story. I've never seen a 6-2. I've never seen a 6-3-2 put out. That's different. That's interesting. But I don't think the Pirates are that far off, to be honest with you. So I don't see them really trading Brian Reynolds. I think it was pretty obvious they were going to trade Adam Frazier, which I'm not a big fan of. I was not impressed with him. But obviously, they have a very good third baseman, and Charlie Hayes' son, Brian Hayes. He's really good. Very good defensive player. I thought he was going to win the Rookie of the Year, but he got hurt early in the season, the first week. He's very impressive. I did not think that they're too far off. They need a little help, to be honest with you. They need a little help. I think long term, I think that team is in good shape. But they need one big player. I mean, they need one big pitcher. They had a high draft pick. So I think they're in pretty good shape, to be honest with you. I think in about 2-3 years, they're going to be back in contention. You got to remember, they won 97 games a few years ago. They were a very good team. And I would point out, McCutchen, he never should have cut his hair. It's like Samson cutting his hair. He lost all his power. He lost everything that was him. Andrew McCutchen never should have cut his hair. Never should have done that. I'm going to end the live stream because I'm getting tired. And obviously, I got to do some stuff before I come back tomorrow. I'll be out early in the morning tomorrow. If there's a trade and I'm not here, I don't know what I'm going to do. But, I'm going to do the best I can to do a good show later on. If there is a trade before 1 o'clock, I will come on. But in all likelihood, the show will start at 1 o'clock tomorrow. And we will probably go for between 1 and 4:30, 5 o'clock tomorrow. So tomorrow's going to be a very long show. and I'm gonna need a lot of help. We're gonna need some trades here to energize the chat. I think we'll have something tomorrow. Uh, Chris Torrey. This is what we need. A Debbie Downer before we go to bed. Debbie Downer. Come on, man. That's malarkey. I know. It's true. Wayne Randazzo doing an insult at Frazier a few weeks ago. He said the All-Star game had a singles derby. Frazier would be a definite contender. Yeah, I agree with him. He's got no power. Nothing. Nothing. That's why I don't like his game. And I don't think he's a good defensive player either. That's why they bounce him around. If he was a good second baseman, they wouldn't be playing him in left field. That's the thing. You may be a versatile player. And it's the same thing with Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant is versatile, but he's not a good third baseman. He's average. You can get by for a couple of days, but long term, he's going to hurt you. That's why they bounce him in the outfield. They bounce him probably at second a little bit, at short. And don't mind me, I'm sort of watching on the side this Rockies game. They're hugging Trevor Story, but it was just over the over the play that happened. Stony 814. Mets gonna do more trades tomorrow. Then what do you think? Come on, guys, think positive. Yes, gotta think positive. Chris Bryant will be here, I think. Chris Bryant, Zach Davies, I see happening. Chris Bryant, maybe Craig Kimbrell. I think Craig Kimbrell. Somebody mentioned in the chat before that Craig Kimbrell's probably going to get moved probably at the end of the deadline tomorrow. We'll see about Bryant. Now the Mets make a deal earlier, and I'm home before 1 o'clock. I'll come on. So just keep that on. So you want to subscribe. This is the best channel. There isn't any bells and whistles on this channel. There aren't any bells and whistles on this channel, but I know more than most of the other YouTubers do. Okay. When it comes to the Mets, comes to baseball in general, I do my best to give you my best knowledge. So, and I can pull stuff from the past, and I can have a little fun doing it too. I mean, this channel is very different. If you notice, all the channels, everybody's on camera. I'm not on camera. Okay. I don't feel comfortable on it. But I have the most fun with the chat. I'm funny. Most of the other YouTubers, no offense, they're not funny. Okay. This is an entertaining show. I did the best I can with it. And sometimes I have problems with the internet here. But for the most part, I do the best job I can and to make it entertaining. Obviously, there's a lot of players to go through. I really was very extensive with my research for this trade deadline. So, obviously, we got a lot to look forward to tomorrow. I don't worry about other YouTubers. That's the one thing about me is I don't really like to collaborate because my schedule is such that I can't plan to do stuff. And I just come on and do whatever I want. Now tonight I was a little different. I had planned on coming on at 7 o'clock, but I actually have a little respect for the other YouTubers, even though they have no respect for what I do here. I will not go on when they're on. Okay. I would never do that to them. They'll do that to me. They don't care. They'll come on. They don't give a shit. But I want to have the most people in the chat as if I can have it. So coming on a little later, and I had a lot of people in here. 85 people in here. It was great for this little channel. And so I don't want to step on anybody's shoes. And I don't want it done to me, but I get it done to me all the time. These people, they don't care. They come on and say, screw that, I'm going to go on. And it hurts me if I'm online. Now, it's not as bad as it was in the offseason because there was so many Mets channels on in the offseason last year, coming into this season. And I complained about one of them, and it wasn't Wardy. I know people always complain about him. It wasn't him. But it was another YouTuber came on, and I think it's rude when you do that. When you know someone's coming on, to jump on a live stream. I don't do that. I show respect to people, even if I don't know them. You know, like that's why I came on so late. For one thing, I felt that one, I know that Wardy was on. He was on quite a while, but I wanted to come on, and I was on around the same time. Uh, uh, I have, you know, now I lost my train of thought, but I try to be respectful to the other YouTubers, even though they have no respect for anybody else. So I know Wardy had a long show. I knew if I came on, it was going to be a struggle to have a lot of people in here, and I didn't think it would be right for me to take away from him. I also know that other channels don't conflict with mine. I know Robbie Hyde was on for a while, but my show and his show are different. He's more of a MLB kind of thing, and I've never interacted with him. I know he's pretty nice from what I understand, but and he's got a good show. But I don't interact too much with him, and he didn't take away from my show. But I waited for him to be done. I know the Mets Weekly show was on. I didn't want to conflict with them, so I was very much. I was very much now tomorrow's gonna be difficult because I got to come on, so it's a little bit different tomorrow. I have to come on. I know everyone else is gonna be on tomorrow. You know. Now the last few days I've been pretty lucky. Nobody's been on. I know the other day I had over 100 people in here, BSing with me. And going through all these different players and stuff. So, I really don't want to I like to have the stage to myself, and I want to have the other YouTubers have the stages for themselves. There aren't too many Mets channels now like there was, because there was a lot in the off season. And I've done this a little bit longer than most of them. So I'm not, and the baseball is easy for me, other than the names. I mean, I have to write this stuff down. Uh, I have to write some of the stuff down because it's just so many players, and I don't do it online. I don't do the. There's no I mean, I have my little my banners, which I put a lot of work into it. Now tomorrow, and I forgot to mention this as well. Tomorrow is Back in Black, so we're gonna have all the black jerseys tomorrow. So the black jerseys will be back. Hopefully the Los Mets don't come back because the Los Mets was a problem. But it's from N Man 40. Honestly, I never knew channels like this existed until I subscribed to you the other day. Your channel just randomly popped up. I'm glad it did. Well, that's good to hear. I've had this channel since last August. And I was kind of doing the first 2 months, September and October, was basically I was doing sporadic things in sports and a little baseball here and there. I wasn't sure what really to do with it. Then then when the World Series was over, I was like, do regular videos. I was doing 3 videos a day, talking about trades and stuff and just different things I thought was interesting. And I didn't really move until I started. It's like, well, that's just the Mets. And once I did that, the channel went crazy. Went crazy in December and January, and I got monetized in February. So, and then in February, everything dried up. The game started, and it was sort of pretty quiet until May. And May it's sort of been building, and now we're into July. And I would point out that after tomorrow, it's gonna be dry. It's gonna be dead around here. This channel's gonna be dead, and I expect it. I have no problem with expecting things to be quiet. So, it's gonna be a very very quiet channel for the next couple months. Obviously, with the Mets being in first place for a good portion of this season, it's gonna get very interesting over the next over the month of September. The Mets are playing the Marlins a lot. I'm very nervous about the Marlins. They're gonna be playing the Nationals a lot. Nationals are done. I think the Mets are gonna beat up on them pretty good. A couple of things the Mets are gonna need to do. The number one thing they're gonna need to do, just as an overall thing, they need to play better on the road. They have to have a 500 record going forward on the road. They played so poorly on the road and played so well at home. That has got to change. Okay. Now, I would point out, again, it's my favorite word tonight, favorite phrase, point out. They played very well against the Padres when they went to San Diego. They're going to be playing the Dodgers in August a lot. They're not going to be facing Bauer. They're probably going to face Scherzer probably twice. That's a very good ball club, and it's going to be. Barry says the Mets will get 90 wins. It's going to be awfully close. Right now, they're on pace for 87 wins, I think. 86, 87 wins. Stoney says this. Maybe you can come in and talk about the playoffs when Mets are in it. We'll see. That is the hope. I will have sporadic videos. There will be videos popping up. But the regular Sunday night live streams, that's pretty much done. That's done probably for now. But if there is playoffs, we'll talk about the playoffs, hopefully. We'll get some playoff games. Hopefully the Mets get to the World Series. It's going to be tough. The Dodgers are going to be tough, obviously, with these trades. The Padres are going to be tough. I'm not big on the Brewers. We'll see what the Brewers do before the deadline tomorrow. But the Mets have a tough road ahead of them, and they're going to be tested going into September. Right. Southern Cal Mets fans, right. We need a winning streak. This team has not had a really long winning streak in quite a while. This team is, again, they played 22 and 23 over the last 45 games. This team has got to get a winning streak and get it quick and get some space between them and these other teams. These teams have been bad. The Phillies have been terrible. The Braves have been terrible. The Nationals are done. They're trading Scherzer. They're trading this guy. They're trading. Could you imagine a month ago they were going to trade Trey Turner? No. So they are done. And they're probably going to be done for next year too. Okay. But again, the number one team I'm most concerned about when we get into September are the Marlins. The Marlins have done it to Mets time and time and time again. Have killed them in September. 98, 2007, 2008. You know, they've caused more problems for this franchise than any team has over the last 25 years. So that is a team we must be concerned about. They've got to beat these bad teams. This team has got to beat up on the bad teams now. Got to beat up on the Nationals now. Got to beat up on the Marlins. Now the Marlins have good pitching, so that's why this team's got to bring in some more offense so they can face this team down there and do well against them. But the Marlins are going to be tough because they can pitch. And then they brought this lefty that they got from Oakland. He's going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. And the Mets have to do better against lefties. Now, Dom has done great. He's hit lefties like crazy. He's done really well against lefties. Alonso's done well against lefties. He's hit a lot of home runs against them. But this team's got to hit lefties. That's why, in all likelihood, a right-handed bat is probably going to fit in really good here. But that's sort of the overall view of this thing. Just checking the time. For 15 and a half hours before the trading deadline. This is some of the stuff they have to look forward to. Stony 814 says, I'm scared of the Phillies in our division. The Phillies still have not done anything. They got screwed out of the Tyler Anderson deal. They had a player on their team, and he was hurt. So that deal was kaput. Southern Cal Mets fan, you should do live streams once a week. The problem is nobody's going to be in there. I noticed that when I was doing it, nobody's watching. You watched. All my regular people watch. But obviously I need to get more subscribers to be able to benefit me. I mean, it's not just... I mean, I love doing this, but I got to make I got to make some dough. But I would point out, I'll be on a lot with the Patriot Hut. The comic book hut is going well. We'll have a live stream on. have a live stream on Saturday. I don't know when. Probably during the day and the comic book hut. Bradley S. How can this team keep Diaz and expect to win in a big spot? Well, they've been winning, Bradley. So give him. I know I'm saying this. Give him a break. Okay. We'll see how he is when we get into September. Okay, he's had a couple of spots here. Now, he's pitched well. Now, last night he got saved by Conforto. Conforto saved him last night. Yes, Nimmo has been great. I'm a big fan of Nimmo. I thought it was funny that Gary Thorne was calling him Nemo. because we were all calling him Nemo when he first got drafted by the Mets, and everyone had the Mets had to correct everybody. It's Nemo. It's not Nemo. But we're gonna have a big show tomorrow. If there's a trade in the morning and I'm not here, well, it's what are you gonna do? But I'm gonna be out early tomorrow. Hopefully, get done everything I need to get done by early in the morning. I'll come back here. Hopefully, we'll have some fun tomorrow. We'll have some trades, and I think there'll be some trades. There's not gonna be any trades now. It's late now. Uh, so we're gonna have a great uh, season that's gonna continue. It's been a good season so far. Louis Rojas, who I'm not the biggest fan of, he's done a good job. He's kept this team together when there have been so many injuries. And losing DeGrom, he's been able to manage this team. That win last night was a great win. And teams that lose do not win games like that. Teams that are destined to lose don't win like that. So, Southern Cal Mets fan. When is Avery Hut channel? I got a bird. I don't know. Oh, where's the? I don't know what that means. But let me just check. Nothing. There's no like new things here. So I think we've seen the last of the trades now. I don't think there's gonna be any more trades with any teams now. So, but I sort of rambled on for another 10 more minutes than I wanted to. But thank you all for coming by. I know it's late. It's late here in New York. I wasn't expecting to come on this late, but I will be on at 1:00, without a doubt. If there's a trade before that, I'll come on. So I gotta take care of my little things I gotta take care of in the morning, and then I'll be back. If there's a trade after I get back, home, I'll come on earlier for a little bit, and then I'll come back again at 1:00. So, but 1:00 is different, God willing. So, thank you all for coming by. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the likes, the people that subscribed. Thank you. Please come back tomorrow, and if you can, and obviously watch on replay, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. This is going to be a great. The trading deadline is a great time, and the Mets are in first place. Never forget that. The Mets have been in first for quite a while. So, thank you, Jay Nove. And I want to thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Thank you, and I'll see you later.